So in this video we're looking at plotting quadratics. Let's get straight into it. And just to kind of give us a brief idea, because there are 4 types of non-linear graphs that we need to be aware of at the GCSE level. Non-linear meaning it is not a straight line kind of graph. And these 4 are quadratic graphs, which is what we're doing today. Okay, so quadratics we're doing today, cubic, reciprocal, and exponential. I'll do a video on each of these, but today we're looking at quadratic graphs. A quadratic takes this kind of U shape that you can see here. Okay, that is true if the quadratic is... A quadratic has something x square, or maybe not x, but it's got to have a square part to it. Okay, so the most basic form of a quadratic is like y is equal to x squared, which looks like this U shape we can see here. We could also have a quadratic that kind of is like a mirror or flipped like this, okay, like a sad face, okay, and this quadratic would be roughly right in the shape y is equal to minus x squared. So it's just being familiar, right? Quadratic, y equals to x squared, we get this U shape, minus x squared, we get this negative kind of upside down sad face. Right, so today we're looking at plotting quadratic graphs. So we'll look at 2 examples, example 1 and example 2. Okay, example 2 being a little bit trickier than example 1, but let's begin. Right, to plot a quadratic like y equals to x squared plus 3, it's very useful to plot a table of values. Okay, so this thing here is called a table of values, and I've got x values going from minus 3 all the way up to 3. That is just saying, right, that we're considering going from minus 3 all the way up to the point 3, and I've got to go and substitute in these x values into my equation over here to find the y values. Okay, and I can plot these as coordinates and sketch the graph. But it's important to bear in mind, right, because, right, today we're looking at quadratics, but because I can see the highest power in this equation here is the square part, I know it's going to look something, right, roughly like this, a U shape, like on the previous slide, like this, and because it is a positive x squared, it's going to be a smiley face, so in this direction. Anyway, let's begin by plotting the table of values. So let's go through this one by one, okay, as you get more confident at this, you can probably kind of do it in your head, but I'll go through it in detail. So first of all, we're considering when x is equal to minus 3, I go and put it into my equation. So we're going to say when x is equal to minus 3, I'm going to put it into this equation here to get y. So y is equal to x squared, well x is minus 3, so let's write it as bracket minus 3 is my x value, but I've got to square it, so squared, and let's add on 3. Well, minus 3 squared is equal to positive 9 times a negative by itself, so positive 9 add 3 is equal to 12. It's really important when you substitute in your value of minus 3, you put it in using a bracket. If you wrote on your calculator this, you would get a different answer. You've got to put it in a bracket. Okay, so you could put that in your calculator with a bracket and you would get 12. So when x is equal to minus 3, our y value is equal to 12. Good. We do the same thing with minus 2 and we keep going. So when x is equal to minus 2, let's put it into our equation to get y. So y is equal to x squared, x is now minus 2, so minus 2 squared, and I add on that 3. So minus 2 squared, squaring a negative, we're going to get a positive 4, and we're adding on that 3. Well, 4 and 3 is equal to 7. So when x is equal to negative 2, x is minus 2, we get a y value being equal to 7. Okay, and these points here, these are coordinates that we're going to plot at the end to hopefully get our U-shaped graph. Let's keep going. When x is now negative 1, let's go and put it into our equation. So when x is equal to minus 1, I put it into my y equation. So y is equal to x squared, where x is now minus 1, and we're squaring it, and we're adding on 3. Minus 1 squared is equal to positive 1, add 3 is equal to 4. So when x is minus 1, y is equal to 4. And again, you must substitute in the x value using a bracket. If you type in this on your calculator, it will give you a different answer. You've got to put it in using a bracket. If you type this in your calculator, minus 1 squared plus 3, you will get 4 with the bracket there. And let's keep going. When x is equal to 0, let's just keep going through these. When x is 0, we're going to get y is equal to x squared. X is now 0, so 0 squared, add 3. 0 squared is just 0, add 3 is equal to 3. So when x is 0, y is 3. X is 1, and when you get good at this, right, you can just begin to do it in your head, but I will write it out just to show you what is going on. X squared, x is now 1, so we're doing 1 squared, add 3. When you're substituting in a positive number, the bracket isn't as important, but that's just, it's good practice to leave it in there. 1 squared of 3 is equal to 1 of 3, which is equal to 4, so that's our y value for this one. When x is equal to 2, we're getting there now. When x is equal to 2, we get y is equal to 2 squared plus 3. 2 squared is equal to 4 plus 3 is equal to 7. Good. X is equal to 3, but you can see the pattern here, right? Hopefully when x is 3, we can go and put in that to our equation. So we're going to get y is equal to 3 squared plus 3, which is equal to 3 squared is 9 plus 3 is equal to 12. So you can see, right, minus 3 we get 12, 3 we get 12, minus 2 we get 7, 2 we get 7. We have that kind of symmetry here because, right, when you're squaring a negative number, it ends up being positive. So like here, minus 3 squared gave us plus 9, which is the same thing as doing 3 squared. And that's why we get that symmetry. Anyway, right, let's go and plot our graph now. So these points here are the x and y coordinates. X and y coordinates, let's go and plot it. So the first one is when x is minus 3, y is 12. So minus 3, and we get 12 up here. Okay, then got minus 2 and 7. So minus 2 across and 7 up. Minus 1 and 4. Minus 1 and 4. 0, 3, which is here. 1, 4. 2, 7. And then 3 and 12. And it should be in a U shape, which it is. Hopefully I haven't made any mistakes with those points. Oh, that one there looks a bit strange. 1, 4. Sorry, that should be down there. 1, 4. Apologies. There we go. So the points should be kind of symmetrical, which they are. That's good. And then I've got to use a freehand here, so not a ruler. So definitely don't use rulers here. It's a freehand sketch going through all of those points. Okay, and it's quite tricky to do on my screen because it's quite sensitive, but it should be a smooth, or as smooth as you can possibly get it, curve going through all of those points. Okay, and let's keep going. This is not too bad. It's quite tricky to do on this. It's quite sensitive. And we keep going, we keep going, we keep going. There we go. So I've completed the table of values between minus 3. Let's highlight that to make it clear. So I've gone from x being minus 3 all the way up to 3, which just means on my x-axis, which is down here, this is my x-axis, this is my y-axis. Okay, I've gone from minus 3, which is here, all the way up to the point 3. And that is all that means there. Okay, so there we go. I've sketched my quadratic. Perfect. Example 2 is a bit trickier, and I always think, right, with this, just check first of all, right, it says plot the graph of this, right, the video is on plotting quadratic, so we know it's going to be either a smiley face or a sad face, but it's good just to think about what shape roughly is it going to be. Well, the highest power here, or the highest power of the exponent, is a square, so it is a quadratic, which is important, and because it is a minus x squared, that means this time it's not going to be a smiley face, it's going to be a sort of sad face U-shaped graph. So it's going to be like the opposite way to the previous one. And we haven't been given the table values, but it's saying plot this graph for the values. This just means x between minus 3 and 4. So it's just saying, right, on our graph, we've got to plot this graph between minus 3 and 4. Okay, this means x being bigger than or equal to minus 3, which is here, being less than or equal to 4. So really to do this, right, we need to go and create our own table of values. That is what they're asking for here. So let's do that. Okay, so like before, right, we have some x and some y values, and we want to go between minus 3 to 4. So x going from minus 3 to minus 2 to minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we've got to go and find the corresponding y values. So it's going to look a bit messy probably, but it will hopefully be okay. So there we go. There we go. There we go, and that's going. Oh, it's not very neat, is it? But it will do. So I've got my x values going from minus 3 up to 4 in increments of 1, just because, you know, I'm going up by 1 on my graph. Minus 3, minus 2, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And like before now, I go and find my y values. And it's really important here, when I substitute in my x values, I use brackets. Let's begin. When x is minus 3, let's put it into our equation up here. So we can go and say when x is equal to minus 3, I get y is equal to, using this, okay, y is equal to 12. 12 plus my x value. So I'm writing the equation exactly how it is. So plus the x value, where x is equal to minus 3. So plus minus 3. Take away x squared, where x is equal to negative 3. So put it in using a bracket, okay, and then we're squaring it. And this bit here, if you've used brackets carefully, you could just type it in on your calculator and it's going to give you the correct answer. But we can think about it, right? Because this means, to begin with, 12 add minus 3 means we're doing 12 take away 3 basically. Okay, we're adding on cold air. We're getting colder. So 12 take away 3 is 9. So we're doing 9 is this bit here. Take away. Negative 3 squared means minus 3 times by minus 3, which is plus 9. So plus 9. So 9 take away 9 is equal to 0. That is my first y value. So you just got to make sure you just literally write this out and you substitute in the x values with the x value you're putting in with a bracket, and then it makes things a lot clearer. Our second one, when x is equal to minus 2. So when x is equal to minus 2, we put it into our equation up here. So y is equal to 12 plus, because I've literally got a plus sign there, my x value, which is now minus 2. And I'm taking away, subtract my x squared value, or x is minus 2. So minus 2, putting in using a bracket and then squaring it. So I've got 12 and minus 2 means 12 take away 2, which is 10. Take away minus 2 squared is going to be plus 4. I'm timesing negative by itself. So 10 take away 4, which is equal to 6. That is my second y value. And I keep going. Okay, I think it's really important, particularly with these trickier ones, we do show the workings so we don't get confused here. Okay, so y is going to be equal to here 12. Add my x value. So I'm adding on my x value, which is equal to now minus 1. And I'm taking away x squared, where x is equal to minus 1. And I've got to square it. So 12 and minus 1 means 12 take away 1, which is equal to 11. Take away minus 1 squared is equal to plus 1. So 11 take away 1 is equal to 10. That is my third y value. Y is 10 when x is minus 1. When x is 0 is quite a nice easy one to do, but we'll go through it to make sure we know what we're doing. So we're going to get y is equal to 12 plus x, where x is now 0, so plus 0. Still use a bracket because good habits. Take away x squared, where x is 0, so take away 0 squared. So I've got 12, add 0, which is just 0, take away 0 squared is just 0, so it's just going to be 12. So when x is equal to 0, y is 12. And we keep going. Right, when x is 1, hopefully we're getting the pattern now. We get y is equal to 12 plus x. X is now 1. Take away x squared, 1 squared. So 12 add 1 is 13. Take away 1 squared is positive 1. So take away 1. So 13 take away 1, which is equal to 12. There we go. We've got two values here that are the same. That's fine. Okay, it's just the way it goes sometimes. I keep going. X is equal to 2. Put it into my equation, same as before. So y is equal to 12 plus x. X is 2. Take away x squared. So take away 2 squared. So 12 with 2 is 14. 2 squared is 4. And I'm taking away that 4. So take away 4. 4 to take away 4 is equal to 10. There we go. X is 3. Let's put it in. X is equal to 3. We're going to get y is equal to 12. Add my x value, which is now 3. Take away x squared. So take away 3 squared, which is equal to 12 with 3 is 15. 3 squared is 9. So take away 9 is equal to 6. There we go. And we're getting there. Now when x is equal to 4, I put it into my equation. So y is equal to 12, add 4, take away 4 squared, which is equal to 12 with 4 is 16. 4 squared is also 16, but take away 16, so take away 16 is equal to 0. Good. Let's plot this, okay? And hopefully, right, we should get some kind of shape that looks like this. It might look a bit different, like we might be missing some of the graph. It might kind of look like that, for example, you know, or it could look a bit like that. But we'll just see what it looks roughly like. But it should be roughly in that kind of shape. Let's go and plot these points here as coordinates. So minus 3 and 0 to begin with, which is going to be down here. We've then got minus 2, 6. So minus 2 across and 6 up, which is going to be here. Minus 1, 10. So minus 1 across and 10 up, which goes here. I've then got 0, 12. So 0 and 12. It looks pretty good so far. I've kind of got this bit going up like this bit over here. I've then got 1, 12. Okay, so I've got 1, 12. That's fine. I've got 2, 10. 2, 10, which goes down here. 3, 6, which is going to be here. And then 4 and 0, which is here. Okay, good. Right, I can see roughly, right, when I plot these together, it's going to be roughly the shape, which is good. Let's begin. Right, we're going through this point up here. A smooth freehand curve. Okay, and it's quite tricky to do on this, but I'll give it my best shot. That's not too bad. It's not great actually, is it? That's pretty rubbish. So let's try again. So smooth curve. Oh, it's really hard to do on this, but it should go through that point. It should go through this point also. I've kind of missed it, but it does go through it. I then go up here. Right, maybe you're thinking here, what happens here? Well, it definitely does not go straight across. That would be not good. It would keep going up, okay, and then back down through this point. That's not very well done. But kind of keep going up, and then it would go back down through this point, and then we would keep going down. So it's really sensitive on this, so it's quite hard to get accurate. And we keep going, we keep going, we keep going through this point, okay, and then we keep going down. Oh, that's not very good. Sorry, this is really making a bit of a mess of this. Down through here, like that. Look, of course, when you do it on paper, it should be a smoother. I mean, that is fine because, right, the most important thing is my points are correct and I've got the shape of it correct. I would get all the marks for that. But it's a bit, you can see it's a bit kind of wobbly with the lines. You want it to be as smooth as you can, which you can do better on paper. Anyway, that is it. That is plotting quadratic graphs, okay? And we'll move on to plotting cubic graphs in the next video. Thank you.